Let us now see what is operating system. So this operating system is providing the interface. So it is providing the interface between the user and the hardware of your computer system or of your system. So this is the interface which is converting the input provided by the user mm, into the output which your hardware is executing or which hardware is providing to you after processing this user input. So this user is giving the input, and you're after executing or after processing this input on this hardware, you are getting some output. So your input is being converted into output after some processing. Okay, so this processing is being done on the hardware, and for everything to be worked in this scenario, in this situation, your interface is provided by the operating system. Okay, so this operating system is the overall manager of your system. It is the manager of the system. It is managing all your resources, may it be your memory, your input output devices, or your processor. So this operating system, this interface is managing all these resources and the devices attached to your computer system. So we have different operating systems available in the market. Like you have Windows, or you have Linux, or Mac OS, or you have for mobile phones, you have Android or Symbian operating systems. So all these are the uh, operating systems which are providing you the interface. So this is the interface between user and the hardware. So if we talk about one word substitute for an operating system, that is this interface. You can easily say that this is the interface between this user and the hardware. So if you look, or if we see the components or the architecture of any computer system, components or the architecture of any computer system, or we can say this architecture. So there are mainly four components. There are four components, and if we see the diagram, the first component at the core level is the hardware, and then we have this operating system. Then after operating system, we have various applications or utilities. These are the uh, programs which are available, which are run by the different users. And outside it, we have various users available, like this. You can create from user 1, user 2, user 3. Likewise, you can have many users till n users. So what we see in this diagram, we see these four components. We have different users which are working on these applications or utilities, and this OS is providing the interface so that these utilities or the applications or the instructions issued by the user, we can process on the hardware. So here you can see that this OS is the interface, or it is the middleman which is in between your user and the hardware. So these are the primary components of any computer system. These four components you should keep in the mind. Okay, now every operating system's goal of any operating system is your maximum CPU utilization. Maximum CPU utilization. That means we should reduce, that means, this means reducing CPU idle time. Reducing CPU idle times. That means we should not keep our CPU idle, we should be doing maximum work in minimum unit of time. Okay, so maximum work should be done by the CPU in minimum unit of time. So this is the main goal of any operating system, to have maximum CPU utilization. Your CPU should be working all the time. It should not sit idle, right? So this is goal of any operating system. So keeping this goal in mind, every operating system provides some services or functions. Functions of OS. So this topic we will be doing in another video in detail. But to list here, I'll be telling you some of the main primary functions which any operating system is providing. So first primary function of any OS is the process management. So as I said that your operating system is the overall manager. So all kinds of management this operating system is doing. So first, this is the process management. Second, it can be your memory management. Here, memory management will include both your main memory management, that is your RAM, and also your secondary memory management. This is your hard disk. So it will be dealing with both kinds of management. Then file management. Then you can have your input output device management. You have protection and security. This is provided by every operating system. And then you can have your networking, how to work in the network environment where there are there's group of computers. So this networking is being provided by your operating system. And then your command interpretation, how to interpret the user's command. So command interpretation, where you have your CUI, GUI, two types of operating systems. So all these are the functions of operating system: process management, memory management, file management, input output device management, protection and security, networking, and command interpretation. So these we'll be doing in separate video in detail. And for the time being, you should note that these are the primary functions which are provided by any operating system. Okay, now I'll give you a brief overview. What do we mean by this process? Process is a very important term whenever you discuss about operating system. So when you discuss about operating system or when you study operating system subject, so this is the main thing which you should know. So earlier or in earlier classes, you were knowing something about program, or you were busy in creating programs. So program was what? This was your set of instructions. You were giving some instructions and creating that set of instructions, that was your program. But now in the background, what is being done whenever any program is being executed, or you want some output to be generated by the operating system or your computer system, any program is divided into several processes: P1, P2, P3, likewise Pn. So process is what? Process is your program in execution. So we always say a process is program in execution. And this process is your active entity. Because it is being executed, you are not actually executing a program. You are executing a process, or the processes which are generated by the program, these are being executed, these are loaded into the RAM. So this is the active entity. And if you talk about your process or your program, then this program is your passive entity. This is passive entity and this is your active entity, because you load processes into the memory for the execution, right? So this is the main difference between a program and a process. So you can say that any program which is in execution, so this is your process, and it, because it is in the execution, so it becomes your active entity, whereas your program is your passive entity. So this is your main point of difference here. Okay. So when you load your operating system or when you boot your machine, so if you see your RAM, suppose this is the RAM structure. So whenever you boot your machine, you have one portion reserved for your operating system. Your operating system gets loaded into the RAM, and rest of the portion is this is reserved for various processes. Likewise, a number of processes can be there in your RAM. So whenever you boot your system, OS is loaded and the number of processes are loaded into the RAM for the execution. Okay, so rest of the topics we will be studying in another video. So this I have given a brief introduction. This is your what is operating system. I hope this is clear in everybody's mind. Okay, thank you.